What's a good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here. I wanted to dive around some of the latest news for the head coach position for the New York Jets. Aaron Glenn, Detroit Lions defensive coordinator, it's really starting to feel like he's becoming a front runner for this position. And I say that due to a number of things, but mostly on the basis of a lot of the news and leaks that we're getting from details surrounding his interview in 2021, as well as just recent news surrounding his upcoming head coach candidacy that you assume is going to take place, right? I wouldn't put him in the Ben Johnson camp of being a guy that's comfortable just staying in Detroit because it's a good setup at this time. Especially being a DC, you really need to kind of jump on some of these opportunities. But when you take a look at some of the comments made by Aaron Glenn and that have been put into the limelight recently, 2021, when he interviewed, he considered this job a dream job for him. And then you also have Rich Cimini recently on his Flight Deck podcast that referenced this being a highly coveted or highly interested job by him, although he hasn't talked to him in quite some time. Even if you want to put that, maybe let's say 2022, right, a year after he didn't land the head coach job here. Still, I think that speaks volumes because since 2021, when we hired Robert Saleh to now, there hasn't been a ton of success whatsoever, right? If anything, he knows more of the turmoil and the drama going on around the New York Jets than anything successful outside of the high level. You guys built an elite defense and you have a plus special teams unit, potentially, right? And then you throw in the stars like Garrett Wilson and stuff. But that's kind of where it starts for me. For one, for him to reference this being a dream job, again, going into 2021, we're coming off of that Adam Gase era. We haven't drafted Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall yet, Sauce Gardner, Jermaine. We potentially have some guys on the roster that you can fall in love with or that you feel really good about. But wholesalely, this is a team that, again, complete rebuild, right? That was kind of the expectation there. There was nothing really in the large scheme of things, there's nothing that you would have really looked at. I would say the interviews during the 2021 time compared to now were even worse off, right? Because at least now we can say we have core pieces, we have most of an offensive line in place, we still have strong elements of a top defense that can be built up. There was tons more question marks going into 2021. So if anything, I would imagine this is still a dream job. And if he still does end up being highly interested, it's still, in my opinion, a very strong job for somebody that's highly motivated to come in and figure out the nuts and bolts of what can work. And what better than a former player that's played in the market? And I would argue that playing in New York / New Jersey as a player is arguably more pressure filled than being in the front office, than being a coaching staff member, because you're going to be put at the forefront of the media more often than you're going to see outside of maybe your head coach, who may or may not help hide you, right? Sometimes they completely blast some of their players, but especially being a former first round pick, from day one, you're expected to go out there and effectively be an all-pro. I think in most people's minds, right? With him being the 12th pick, even more so, right? Just outside of top 10. So I really, really like this guy. I know if we're considered front runners, right, in my mind, I know the Saints are really a contending team with his history with them as well. But I'm hoping, I can't remember his name, Izzo, whoever the interim head coach is right now that they promoted from special teams. I'm hearing some good buzz about him, so hopefully they make him an internal hire and Aaron Glenn is more likely to land with the Jets. The biggest question mark, and I heard Rich Cimini really call this out as well, and you guys have commented this in the same manner, is really if you do go Aaron Glenn. Matter of fact, if you really go anybody with a defensive specialty, what does the offense look like, right? And I think this is the number one question, and it impacts so many things. It's going to impact, do we want to draft the quarterback in the first round? It's going to impact, what can we do with Aaron Rodgers if he doesn't end up retiring, or if we still need to make those decisions after hiring. It's going to impact what happens with Jordan Travis, and maybe most underratedly, it's going to impact potential trade requests from Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, in my opinion. If he can't fall in love with who the head coach is, and he can't stand behind whoever the offensive coordinator that's selected is, it's really not going to matter, right? You're probably looking at more turnover than you expect on the offensive side. Would we... the Garrett Wilson trade is probably a discussion for another day, right? But ultimately, Aaron Glenn is a guy that I feel really comfortable with, not only being able to be a strong head coach, but also between his time in the NFL as well as continuing to keep tabs in college. I think you can find a strong candidate, if not maybe a surprising riser, that can fill in that OC spot and give us some strong production. I say that because Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur, I think, is still a tandem that could have showed strong results if they had the time. If Woody Johnson wasn't, meddling in business and personnel affairs, if it wasn't for Zach Wilson really not being a strong fit, and you can definitely make that a part of why LaFleur should have been fired. But still, the fact that you can make your offense work with a Mike White, you can make it work. Trying to remember the other quarterbacks off the top of my head that we had. Josh Johnson, I want to say Joe Flacco maybe around that time, but you can make your offense look like a top tier unit with any other quarterback other than Zach Wilson, I think is huge. And plus, we can't forget that there was the whole drama around if Zach Wilson was a quarterback that most of the team wanted, or if that was spearheaded by some other stuff. And you can throw the conspiracies about, JetBlue, who I think Zach Wilson's father owns, or something along those lines, in the connection to Woody. Nonetheless, this isn't the video for that. But I just say that to say that we could see another strong pairing with Aaron Glenn and somebody of a likeness, right, compared to LaFleur. So let me know what you guys think. Ultimately, I'm trying to sway you guys if I can, piece by piece. But also let me know if there's any other head coach candidates that you guys would like to see. I know I just got into Liam Cohen. That was really fun. I'm sure there's still plenty of other names on the radar that I haven't looked at, haven't thought about just yet. But let me know what you guys think about the whole situation, and I'll catch you again. Peace.